happy to be walking you through these different integrations today. So let's go ahead and jump into the system itself. I've got a few of my different integrations set up here ready to go, and we can take it from there. So to access the integrations page inside of Concord, you're going to go to your automation screen, and then you're going to click on integrations. The integrations are currently only available as part of our middle and top tier. So that's either the professional or business tier on the middle, or the enterprise tier, which is the top tier that we have. If you have one of our old standard or group plans or essentials plan, then the integrations are not included with those. So if you would like one of these integrations, but you don't currently have it with your plan, just feel free to reach out to me and I can help you figure out what that would look like. As far as the integrations go, we've got a number of different options here. We have our Zapier integrations. Zapier is a middleware tool. So I talk about this a lot on a lot of my calls because people often want to integrate with certain tools that we don't have out-of-the-box integrations with. And so Zapier is a great way to do that. It basically sits between two different applications and connects them together. I'm actually going to just jump into Zapier real quick because I had one of the integrations set up and ready to go. I was actually showing earlier today, or I think it was yesterday and today, I had a customer that came in with a request to be able to have a Google form that lived outside of Concord that was like a public form that people could fill out. And this was particularly for contract intake requests. So they have their employees fill out a form and then they want that to be able to flow into Concord all the data and even create a document from what was filled into that form. So that's the type of integration that you can do using Zapier. It's integrated with about 10,000 different applications. So if there's something that we don't have out of the box that you do want to integrate with, that's probably the best path for that. Looks like we have a question here already. Can it integrate into Concord's intake? Not with the way we have the intake form set up right now. We are going to be doing some intake updates, I know here pretty soon once we release our Horizon product, but it currently cannot integrate with them directly. Yeah, good question. Cool, so that's Zapier. We have, so question about integration with MS Outlook, we actually do for the calendar piece. So I'll talk about that here in just a little bit. As far as the API goes, some of you may be familiar with APIs. They're basically ways that systems talk together and share information back and forth. So we do have an open API as part of our enterprise package. The API is really for customers that want to create custom integrations, custom paths, things like that. It's kind of interesting. A lot of people don't realize this, but Concord itself is actually built using our own API. So pretty much everything that you can do in Concord is available through the API. The only thing that isn't really is the signing process. So you do have to sign the documents in Concord. But as far as pushing and pulling documents, creating documents, all of that's going to be available using that API. Okay. I see your question about automatic notices. You can do that through the API, yes, but I will also show you how to do that here in just a little bit. That's a separate process. It's not part of this. So happy to show you that in a minute. We also have our webhooks. A webhook is basically like a predefined action that can happen, like get document or push document. So webhooks are just kind of a way to think of it. It's the API, but kind of already created into a specific piece of code. So the webhooks are pretty popular. We have some customers that are using those. So anyway, if you want to build something, Zapier, APIs, webhooks, those are all available. We do have out-of-the-box integrations with both Salesforce and HubSpot. Our Salesforce integration has been there for many, many years. Lots of people are using that today. And then we just released the HubSpot integration, I think, last year. So as far as the way that those work, I'll just jump into one of my accounts here and I can show you that. Actually, I'll do it with this account. So here I've got a Salesforce enabled template. So the way that this integration works is you'll actually upload your template into Concord. Once it's in the system, you can, let me move this over. You can then insert your different fields that are coming across from Salesforce. So if you are a Salesforce user, you'll have all your different fields here, and we integrate with the account object, the opportunity, the product, and the account or the owner. So any of those fields in those objects in Salesforce you can pull in. So you'll basically have all your fields here. You'll input them into the document to kind of set up your template, and then you'll be ready to kick that off from Salesforce. So inside of Salesforce, you'll have your opportunities here. I'm just going to jump into this one to demonstrate. So I have an opportunity inside of Salesforce. If I want to create a new document with Concord using that opportunity, I simply click on New Document with Concord, which will take me into this document creation screen. This is where all my available templates or documents will be. So in this case, I just have this one template I can work with. I'll be able to come in here and it'll already have the email address of who I'm going to be sharing that with. It's pulling that from the opportunity. And then I just click review before sharing. So that's going to actually create the document inside of Concord, and it's going to create a record of that inside of Concord as well. So I've now got that document and filled out these specific fields, and that's now it's now tied to that specific opportunity inside of Salesforce. So back here, I have this related section, which has all the different Concord documents that I've generated. It will update the statuses here, so it's going to show you like where the contract is at, when it was sent, read, executed, etc. And if I click on this link, it's going to take me back into that document. So once you've generated this, you would go through the normal negotiation, discussion, and signature process through Concord. And then it can also update the status and even save a copy into Salesforce if you wanted to. This is also a bi-directional sync, so any field that you fill out here, let's say that I were to fill in this, phone number real quick. Anytime I do that in Concord, yeah, it'll push that information into Salesforce all the way up until the document is signed. So it is a bi-directional sync with all the data fields. So that's our Salesforce integration. It's honestly quite easy to set up and automate. We're happy to help you do that from our side. You've all got, CSMs assigned to your customers there, so happy to do that. We also have our HubSpot integration, which is going to be similar. With the HubSpot integration, you can kind of create, whatever you want here in the system as far as templates, very similar to what we just did with DocuSign. It's a little bit different on the setup where you're going to be able to, instead of having the fields to insert up here at the top left, you actually have them here in the summary sheet section. So you can go ahead and just put those in here. Drag and drop them in, and then from HubSpot, something very similar where you'll have your deals, you'll click into your deal, and then you can actually generate a contract from the deal itself. So very similar process to what I just showed you with Salesforce. You just have this create document screen, create it, pushes all the data over. So it's pretty straightforward. So whether you're using Salesforce or HubSpot, we have a great out-of-the-box integration with both of them. There's a couple questions here in the chat. I'll get back to the ones about reporting in a second, but the question is, does Concord integrate with Slack or Airtable? Great question. We do integrate with Slack out of the box. So our Slack integration is here. And so you could integrate with that. It's actually a pretty cool integration. The way that it works is instead of getting email notifications, you can still get the email notification, but anything that would be sent out as a notification can go directly into your Slack. So if somebody creates a new version of a document, if it's your turn to sign or approve or if something gets signed, you can get notifications in Slack for all those things. So that's our Slack integration. We just completely overhauled our DocuSign integration a few months ago. We had an old version of that. It was pretty bad. It was just one way and wasn't ideal. So we completely overhauled it. It is now a bi-directional sync with DocuSign, meaning that you can push a document from Concord into DocuSign once you're ready to get it signed, and you can also have that saved automatically back into the same record. A lot of people ask us, why do you have a DocuSign integration? Because you do have your own out-of-the-box e-signature. And the answer is we have lots of customers who work for large organizations that already have DocuSign embedded, and that's just what they need to use. And also there's certain countries and regions where they need specific requirements that DocuSign has for the e-signature. So that's kind of another reason why some of our customers need to use that. So full integration with DocuSign. And one last thing on the DocuSign piece is we recently have added this DocuSign import feature. So if you are a DocuSign customer and you wanted to bring all your documents into Concord, you can now just easily do that through the import feature. So instead of having to like download them and then re-upload them, you can actually just directly ingest them. This is especially useful for our new customers who have a DocuSign account already and they're wanting to purchase Concord. But yeah, that's where that goes. Do we integrate with SAP Cloud for customers? We don't have a direct integration with SAP Cloud, and I'm not even sure that they're on Zapier either. But if they're on Zapier, we could do an integration through that. Otherwise, that would be something that we would have to do through an API or webhook. Yeah, nothing out of the box with them. Great. And then last, we have our storage facilities on the integration sides of Box, Dropbox, and Google Drive. We also do another thing with Google Drive, which I'll show you in just a minute. We have our single sign-on providers as well. And on the single sign-on side, this is using like Okta, OneLogin, things like that. We pretty much integrate with any of them. Anyone that's SAML 2.0 or higher, which is pretty much all of them, we can integrate with. So if you wanted to set up a single sign-on, for security purposes and to configure accounts, you can definitely do that in Concord as well. And that is part of our enterprise plan, this specifically. Let's talk about the Google Drive piece just for a second. So the good question about the Slack notifications, it's going to be an individual Slack notification. So it's only stuff that you have access to. So if there's someone submitting a request, but you're not part of that request, you don't see the Slack notification. It's just going to be for your stuff. So it is individual. So you'll be able to see the notifications for your documents, your requests, things like that. Yeah. And if you want to test it out, I mean, your CSM would definitely be happy to help you set it up and you can give it a test drive. I'm going to go ahead and jump into a document here in the system. I just want to show you this one Google Drive piece because I think a lot of people don't know. I'll talk about Google Drive as well as Microsoft Word at the same time. Let me just close all this stuff I don't need. So here I've got a document in Concord. It's currently in signature mode. I'm going to move it back into review mode. So if you ever needed to take a document from Concord and maybe kick it into either Word or Google Docs, you can, and we have integrations with both. So if I export this to Google Docs during the negotiation process, it's going to automatically open that up inside. And I should have made some red lines first. It's been a long day, so let me do that, and then I'll bump that over and I'll show you what it looks like. But this is what it looks like. But let me do some red lines so you can see the difference there. So I'm just going to come in here and mark this up. To your question about notifications, yes, you can do that. I'll go through how the notifications work in just a minute. Definitely. So I'm going to go ahead and just make some quick markups here, save them, and then I'll show you how that works in just a second. We can go ahead and click export. And so now I'm going to take this into Google Docs. I'm also going to take this into Word. So we do have integrations with both. We did just recently release a Word plugin. So if you wanted to, you could actually take a document from Concord into Microsoft Word. And I don't have it set up on my account, but when it is set up on your account with Word, you're able to just simply click a button, which will take that, push it back into Concord and save it there. So we've got a full integration, both a two-way integration with Microsoft Word, and we have the same thing with Google Docs. So now I've just left Concord. They look very similar, Concord and Google Docs, but I'm actually in Google Docs now. And as you can see, these are all the markups and comments I made inside of Concord, and they're going to push over into that Google Docs account. So if you ever needed to take it out of our system, you can make your changes offline, and then you can bring it back into Concord. So we try to be flexible there. And have that flexibility so you can kind of work the way that you need to. Great. Let's talk about notifications because there's a lot of questions about those here. So happy to do that. So I'm just going to run you through kind of the general notifications in the system and how that works. So the way that notifications are driven at a high level is based on document access. So if somebody has access to a document, then they're going to be able to receive notifications for those documents. So the way that we set that up is you'll create all your folders inside the Concord platform. You'll give your accesses. So I'm just going to go into my settings. You're going to first set up all of your users. you're going to give them a team or a group. And these are important for when you're giving your access rights to your different folders and documents, which then also drive the notification. So all of this organization is important. If your account is not organized and you would like some help with that, that's why we have CSMs on our side, our customer success managers, and they'd be more than happy to help you configure your account and get this set up. But you'll set up all your teams here. You'll also give those users a role, which is what they can actually do in the Concord platform. Can they edit? Can they sign? Can they approve? And then you'll set up your folders and you'll give them access to that folder structure. So let's say that I'm somebody on the sales team and I only have access to my sales folder and that's it. I will only receive notifications for those sales contracts that I'm a part of. I don't receive notifications for any other document because I don't have access to them. So the way that the notifications actually work, I'll just show you this here. So like for this Salesforce one, for example, I've got my life cycle details. So when it was signed, the effective date, the duration, any renewal information will be pulled here as well. And then we have that early termination notice. So let's say this contract does not have an early termination notice. And let's say this contract is actually good until this year, because otherwise it's gonna say it's already expired. So I'm just gonna update that real quick. So this contract is gonna end on 11/21/2025. So the way the actual alerts work is you're gonna receive an email. Well, let me show you one other thing first. So you will choose how far out you want your alerts to start here under personal detail. No, 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 under notifications. And so by default, I believe this is 120 days. Like every account we set up, I think the default's 120, it might be 90. So within 90 days or 120 days of that deadline happening, that's when it's going to start showing up on your weekly email. So you're going to get an email that looks similar to this right here. And so this will be sent out to anybody who is a user in the system that should receive this type of deadline alert. Well, any user that has access to the document that has a deadline in it will receive this, specific notification. So it's just going to show you everything that's coming up here in the near future. So that's on the email, and this goes out once a week every Monday. The other thing that we have, and this goes back to your first question, is we do have integration with Outlook and Google Calendar. So you have this calendar view that's inside of Concord, and you can sync this directly with your Outlook calendar or your Google Calendar, whatever you're using, and this has all the alerts in it as well. You can even set up a custom alert view here and say, hey, I want to do an alert for my contract manager. And within this alert, I just want to see these contract types. Maybe you want to filter it based on contract manager owned documents, which you could create a field for contract manager name, put them in, and then you can have it just show theirs. So you do have ways to kind of filter it down and see like specifics of what people need. But this is where you can see the view of all the upcoming deadlines, and you can also subscribe to this calendar with your own personal calendar, your work calendar, so that you have everything there in front of you. It is emailed once a week. It comes out technically Sunday night, but it'll be there for you like Monday morning, is when that email goes out. Yeah. Great. So that's how the deadlines work. We are going to be doing a major overhaul to our deadlines once we release our new Horizon platform, which I'll talk about in just a minute. We're going to do some additional things with it, but for right now, that's the way it works. What we're going to be adding to it is the ability to get more specific about who gets which deadline alerts based on specific documents. I've been at Concord long enough to remember that that's kind of how we did it at the very beginning. Then we went away from that, and now we're planning to kind of go back to that a little bit. So excited for the changes that are coming, but honestly, the way that it works today, our customers are typically pretty happy with it, and if it's not working the way you want it to work, we can probably help you kind of optimize it to get it the way you want. So just let us know. Feel free to reach out. Other questions, let me know. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything here. I think that's the majority of them. I do want to, so if you have more questions, feel free to put them in. Happy to answer them. I do want to talk about our new Horizon platform. because just, it's about to be released, and I think it's really exciting. And I was at a legal conference last week in Las Vegas. It was the RLLB conference. It's basically for like legal operations people. And we actually unveiled Horizon there for the first time. We were showing it to people, got some really good responses, good feedback. So we're excited for that. But basically, what we have with Horizon is we've completely redesigned and reworked Concord in general. So you have all these new features that are going to be coming out based on Horizon. We have our new Copilot for the AI that's going to be based on the entire platform. We have our new negotiation playbooks. I'm especially excited for these, where you can tell the system, hey, these are the standards that we want. We always want to have net 30 payment terms. We always want to have limitation of liability under $1 million. We always want to have governing law be our state, like all the different, playbooks that you want and things that you want in them. And basically what you'll do is upload a document into the system. It'll know your playbook, and it can just redline everything for you and kind of just mark it up based on your playbooks. So that's a really cool feature that is coming out soon. We have a whole new deadlines view, like I just talked about, that's coming out, and new, ways to set up deadlines. Just there's a lot of new features. We actually have it out in beta already, so you know that we're not making this up. It is here. This is actually Horizon. And another cool thing is we have dark mode and light mode. So if you're a dark mode person like myself, I love dark mode because it's easier on my eyes. You can, switch it to dark mode if you'd like. But this is really cool. It just gives you the ability to set up things much more customizable. You have a whole new inbox view, and you can also like pin your views. So once you get to a view that you really like in the system, you can pin that. You can make that your permanent view going forward. You can have multiple views. There's just a lot of cool things with it, and it's also extremely fast. Like Concord has always been pretty snappy. Horizon is incredibly fast because it's all like the newest technology. It's completely brand new with the way they coded everything. So yeah, we're very excited about all of it. We start releasing this, like I said, in October. That's when we will make Horizon available to our customer base if you wanted to start being a beta tester. And just so you know, we will keep our current solution. We call it Foundation. So Concord Foundation will still be available. You can still use it. It's not going anywhere. But if you want to start using the Horizon platform, that's something that will be an option as long as you're on the right plan, and we can, talk about that when the time comes. So anyway, we're just really excited about that. We have a 2-week on-site that's happening right now in Paris with all of our developers and product people, and they're currently working on the system, improving it, testing it, just to get it ready for that October release date for the first pieces. So we're excited. Cool. If you have other questions, let me know. I kind of covered what I wanted to cover today. The biggest takeaway, I think, is if there are integrations that you would like to use that you are not using now, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach out to the support team, to your CSM directly. Hopefully you know who your CSM is, probably either Blake or Vanessa. I can help you from the sales side. If you just want to reach out to me, I can put you in touch with them. I'm actually going to put my email address here in the chat. So if you did want to reach out to me, you can. And yeah, there you go. I think most of you probably already have my email address, but if you need it, go ahead and reach out to me, and I'm happy to assist you from there. Great. And if you don't have any other questions, we can go ahead and end a little bit early today, and everyone have a great rest of the day.